Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching. Today's video is going to be a Tuesday tips video, a quick tutorial on how to use your crystals, how they work, and how you can best use them in your divination, your magical practices, and your healing. So crystals have been used since the beginning of human history, right? We can see them in the Bible and in other holy works. And there's a lot of crystals in ancient ruins around the world. So we have had crystals available to us for as long as people have been able to dig them out of the dirt. And working with crystals, it all depends on who you are and why you're using them. Most people rely on their intuition when working with crystals, but there's actual science behind how they work. For example, quartz crystals are used in watches and other devices to make them work well, to make them perform more accurately. Now, there's a term, it's called the dominant oscillatory rate. And this is the vibration that's emitted by all matter. So what is matter? Anything that's physical and takes up space, right? So that's you, that's me, and that's crystals. Crystals have a stable molecular structure, okay? And our cells and atoms align with these attributes associated with the crystals, harnessing and amplifying the energies within them to manifest these good positive traits that these crystals hold within ourselves and within our environment. So in other words, whatever crystal you're working with, whatever vibration it's working with, it's going to start to integrate and bring your vibration up to that level of the stable molecular structure of the crystal so that you can start to integrate these qualities, these positive attributes, and work with these stones. Which is why you should always set an intention when working with your crystals, because you want them to attune to you and what you want and not to the environment around you. Crystals come in different structures, cubes, tetragonal, hexagonal, trigonal, and so on. And all of these patterns, these different shapes of crystals are used for specific purposes. Crystals can also be carved into different shapes like hearts, skulls, animals, and other different things for different uses. All right. So I would encourage you to do some research on the different crystal shapes and how they're used to see how they'll benefit you. Generally speaking, if you're looking to integrate the attributes of a crystal into your energy field, you'll carry them as a pocket stone, okay? That's the most familiar way that people work with them, or the most accessible way, I should say, is to carry your crystals with you in your pocket, in a pouch. It's good to wear them close to your skin or close to any of the chakras that the crystals attune with, right? So for example, if you are working with yellow stones to boost your confidence, to boost your manifestation abilities and your happiness, you could work with citrine and possibly wear a necklace or even a bracelet, okay? Because it'll bring it closer to that solar plexus chakra. Another way to work with crystals is with crystal grids. And this is a subject in and of itself, but crystal grids basically are a way to set an intention for something that you want to manifest and use different attributes of that crystal, putting them in a sacred geometrical shape. So a lot of crystal grids are made in circles or spirals or diamonds or squares. And the idea is that the power is amplified and concentrated to work towards your intention. Crystal jewelry is another way that you can incorporate the energy of the stones in your auric field. For example, if you're working on your crown chakra, you might want to wear some amethyst earrings. If you're working on your heart chakra, you could wear a rose quartz necklace. Meditation, of course, is a way that you can use your crystals. When I do my chakra meditations, I work with crystals at each of the chakras, sometimes more than one, depending on what I'm guided to do. But you'll see people with very intricate crystal layouts. A lot of, master crystal healers will use a lot of different patterns and formations of crystals, depending on what the goal is for that healing session, okay? And then crystal elixirs is another very accessible way to work with your stones. Now, not all stones can be used to make an elixir. Some crystals are toxic and you don't want to consume them or the water that you're using to make the elixir. So do some research. I know that amethyst and rose quartz are really popular crystals for elixirs, citrine, clear quartz, black tourmaline. But again, there's so many depending on what it is you're trying to do. So do your research. Now, I would suggest that you don't work with more than 3 crystals at a time unless you're experienced or guided to do so, because sometimes the energy and the power of crystals can cancel each other out. So, for example, if you're trying to be more alert and awake and you're working with orange stones, you probably don't want to work with amethyst or another stone that promotes sleep and calming, because those two things cancel each other out. But again, do what you're guided to do. You also want to cleanse and charge your crystals on a regular basis using sage, using water, using intention. Some people like to use salt on their crystals to cleanse them. And again, it depends on what kind of stone you're using, because salt is corrosive. So I would always suggest you use one of the other methods first before you use salt. Don't allow anyone to touch your crystals unless you plan on giving it to them as a gift, because like I mentioned earlier, crystals absorb energy, okay? They are meant to match your vibration and what you're trying to do. So if somebody else touches the crystals, that could kind of muddy things up, right? And if you lose a crystal, that means that it's done the work that it's supposed to do and it's time for it to move on to somebody else, maybe. Sometimes your crystals come back too. I remember walking down the street and finding a piece of selenite desert rose just in the middle of the sidewalk. I mean, how random is that? I've found an amethyst stone before. I've found jade. So again, crystals, you will lose them and they'll move on to somebody else, or they'll come back. I hope this was helpful for you, at least giving you a starting point to working with your crystals. Again, do some research. This is a very vast and extensive and very comprehensive subject. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.